got you updated. This is Radio Manzi News in English.
Are tuned to Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Kagame. The headlines. President Paul Kagame has promoted in ranks 4 senior military officers. The Inspector General of Police, Dan Munyuza, has received his Somali counterpart, Major General Abdi Hassan Mohammed, at the Rwanda National Police General Headquarters in Kacyiru. The world's population is expected to reach 80 billion on November 15th. Now, news in detail. President Paul Kagame, who is also the Rwanda Defense Forces Commander-in-Chief, has promoted in ranks 4 senior military officers. According to a communique from the military, Brigadier Generals Vincent Nyakarundi, Willy Rwagasana and Ruchi Karusisi were promoted to the rank of Major General. Nyakarundi is the head of Defense Intelligence, while Rwagasana is the commandant of the Republican Guard. Karusisi is the commandant of RDF Special Operations Force. Colonel Ronald Rwivanga, the spokesperson of the Rwanda Defense Force, was promoted to the rank of Brigadier General. The Inspector General of Police, Dan Munyuza, has received his Somali counterpart, Major General Abdi Hassan Mohammed, at the Rwanda National Police General Headquarters in Kacyiru. They discussed ways to further strengthen cooperation in various policing areas. During the bilateral meeting, IGP Munyuza expressed RNP's commitment to further improve cooperation between the 2 law enforcement institutions, mainly through capacity building and exchange of experiences. IGP Munyuza says the visit is an opportunity to discuss as they endeavor to explore more areas of cooperation, to include sharing of information and intelligence in fighting international organized crime and terrorism that continues to pose a threat to national, regional and international security. The visit, he added, paves way to establish more formal collaboration channels through which communication will be much easier, especially while sharing information on matters of security. The Rwanda National Police signed a memorandum of understanding with Somali Police Force, mainly in training in 2011. Since then, 11 Somali police officers have been trained in Rwanda, including 6 senior officers who attended the Police Senior Command and Staff course and 5 at the Intermediate Command course. The United Nations Population Fund country representative Kobena Asante Ntiamo says skills, tools, political will and public support to analyze demographic change and develop effective population and social policies based on data, evidence and human rights are key to long-term sustained development. Kobena believes that sustainable development can only be achieved if women have autonomy over their bodies and if reproductive rights and choices and gender equality, tenets of the Program of Action of the International Conference on Population and Development, are safeguarded. while the global community celebrates the World Population Day every July 11th. This year's celebration in Rwanda coincides with the fifth population and housing census, where the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda will start enumeration to update data on core demographic, social and economic indicators. The census will in turn inform the formulation, implementation, monitoring and evaluation of national and international development plans and programs that the country has committed on, particularly under the National Strategy of Transformation 1, Vision 2050 and Sustainable Development Goals, as well as the Africa Agenda 2063. This World Population Day's theme being a world of 8 billion towards a resilient future for all, harnessing opportunities and ensuring rights and choices for all. The world will need to affirm commitments and the urgency to put women and girls at the center of efforts to recover from COVID-19 and build forward and better. Residents of Chirwa Village, Gwabichuma Sector, Nyanza District, who live on a plot designated for the construction of a stadium, have requested compensation so that they can relocate. They say the district authorities have barred them from cultivating long-term crops on that land for the past 2 years, which has affected the well-being of their families. In addition to those whose properties were valued by the authorities, there are those whose properties were not valued and who have been barred from doing anything long-term on their land. The mayor of Nyanza District, Nhazinda Erasme, said some of the residents scheduled for relocation have begun to be compensated. He also assured that those who have not yet been compensated, that they will be compensated once the valuation for the plot where the stadium will be built is completed.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
DRC's Vice Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs deposited the country's instruments for ratification on the accession of East African Community Treaty to the East African Community Secretary-General Peter Matuki. The formal presentation of the instrument of ratification, which marked the final phase of admission of the country as East African Community 7th member, was done at the East African Community headquarters in Arusha, Tanzania. By depositing the instrument, DRC now has full rights and privileges like any East African Community partner state to participate in all the bloc's programs and activities and affirms to meet the obligations of the bloc. The European Union's health and medicine agencies have said they were recommending a second booster shot of a COVID vaccine for people over 60 years old as infections rise again. The agencies had already recommended a second booster or a fourth dose for people over the age of 80 since April. The world's population is expected to reach 8 billion on November 15th, the UN forecast in a report that said India will surpass China as the most populous country on Earth in 2023. The Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said that overall population milestone is a reminder of the world's shared responsibility to care for the planet and a moment to reflect on where we still fall short of our commitments to one another. He added that this is an occasion to celebrate our diversity, recognize our common humanity, and marvel at advancements in health that have extended lifespans and dramatically reduced maternal and child mortality rates. The forecast by the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs said the world's population is growing at its lowest pace since 1950. It should hit 8.5 billion in 2030 and 9.7 billion in 2050, peaking at around 10.4 billion people in 2080s, before staying at that level until 2100. The British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss has entered the race to replace Boris Johnson as Prime Minister, taking the number of candidates in an increasingly unpredictable contest to 11. Truss, who has held ministerial jobs in a number of government departments, including trade, justice and the treasury, said she would slash taxes and maintain a tariff line against Russian President Vladimir Putin. The contest is for the leadership of the ruling Conservative Party, with the winner then becoming Prime Minister. The aim is to find a successor by September. Senegalese superstar Sadio Mane heads a list of 10 nominees for the African Footballer of the Year award to be handed out later this month for the first time in 3 years. The winner will be decided by a judging panel made up of members of the Confederation of African Football's Technical Committee, press and coaches, and captains of Africa's 54 national teams, and will be announced at a gala in Rabat, Morocco on July 21st. A Spanish court has ruled that an autopsy be performed on the body of Angola's former president, José Eduardo dos Santos, who died in a clinic in Barcelona on Friday. The court spokesperson said the court had granted the request of a family member for the autopsy, which was yet to take place.
Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi.
A new report by the National Institute of Statistics says the prices of goods and services increased by 13.7% in June 2022 compared to the same month last year, and 0.8% increase on a monthly basis. The report indicates that prices of food and non-alcoholic beverages increased by 25.1%, while housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels increased by 7.9%. On an annual basis, the local goods index increased by 12.6%, and the imported goods index increased by 16.9%, while the fresh products index increased by 22.2%, the energy index increased by 18.2%. Commodity prices have been steadily rising over a half a year, now mainly due to imported inflation as an impact of disrupted global supply chain and economic spillovers of the Russia-Ukraine war. In efforts to keep inflation in check, the central bank maintained the key repo rate at 5% and explained that the results may not be immediate but will reflect change over time. It is predicted that 2022 average inflation should be up to 9.2% before coming down to 7.5% next year. With a new national budget of 4.6 trillion Rwandan francs for the 2022-2023 fiscal year, parliamentarians are optimistic that it will help tame the rising commodity prices and boost economic growth of the country. Now the currency market review of today. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.5 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 8.7. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.43 and the selling price was 0.44. Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.27 and the selling price was 0.275. Burundian franc buying price was 0.49 and the selling price was 0.5. The US dollar buying price was 1,015 and the selling price was 1,035. The British pound buying price was 1,218 and the selling price was 1,242. The euro buying price was 1,030 and the selling price was 1,050. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition.